Hello everybody and welcome back. This is FuzzeeDee Tutorials and my name is Dave. I recently built a really nice text reveal. It's a two-line text reveal with some animated boxes and it's completely configurable. I'm going to introduce you to the project and then I'm going to show you the new Fusion title that I made that can be accessed from the effects library. And that'll be available for download in the description. Alright, let's get started. If you enjoy our content, please hit that like button. If you find our content useful, please subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything. So here's the animation as it runs. Okay, so here's the animation that we're talking about that I built in Fusion. Let me show you what it looks like. Okay, now let's move our playhead back over to the Fusion composition, select it, and then we'll go into the Fusion tab. So this is the completed project. Now I am going to do a tutorial and show you how to build this thing, but to build it and show you how to use the actual title in the Fusion tab would make too long of a video, so I'm going to split it into two. So watch for my tutorial next Sunday when I show you how to build this puppy. Okay, so basically we've got, we'll move it over here so we can see where everything is. And let's make it a little bigger here and get it down to one viewer. Okay, so we've got basically we've got two lines of text and we've got a text mask, and that's what I use to actually reveal the text, and that's animated and it times with this green bar over here, which is, this is our vertical line that we created, and that was done using a background with a mask. And then there's this box in behind the text, and that's completely editable as well. And that as well is done with a background node and a mask. And then these two outline boxes, those are actually polylines. So they're a paint node polyline, or rather a polyline paint node. And then we've got some control nodes, and it uses the radon feature. So that's a little quick rundown on exactly what it is. And then I created a macro, which is also available from inside here. So if I wanted to go to add tool and then macro, then here we are right here. And then I can disconnect that and connect this one into the media out. And then to make that actually usable in the effects library, I had to copy it into a special folder, and I will show you how to do that next week when I show you how to build this. I'll also show you how to turn it, the steps you have to take to turn this into a macro, and then how to go in and adjust it and set up the things you want people to be able to adjust when they are actually going to use it from the effects library in the edit tab. Okay, so let's Command Z out of that, and we'll go back to the Edit tab. All right. So if we go over here to our effects library, and we go into titles, and we'll scroll down, and you'll see right here we've got the FuzzeeDee 2-line text reveal with 2 outlines. So we'll just drag that in here. And we'll just let it finish rendering everything out here. Okay, so here it is again, real quick. Now I have set it up so that you can lengthen it out. Now there does come a point where you can't lengthen it out any further, but I've made it plenty long for pretty much any use people are going to have for it. Okay, so we're going to go over here and select it, and then I'm going to drop this down a little to give it a little more room here, and let's take you through it. So it's organized in order of first you edit your text, then the background, then the outlines, then the vertical line. And actually let me just back it up a little bit so we can see that vertical line. And now the nice thing about this, before I get into showing you how to set up everything else, you notice that our little keyframe diamonds are still here, and you can animate pretty much every feature in here. You can animate the color changes and text positions, so it doesn't have to just be static text sitting there. So the first one, now of course I'm doing a little shameless advertising. So I'm building a new website as we speak. I'm not going to give you the URL for it quite yet. It has been registered, but it's not up and live. But I will be making the resources that I'm producing available there, and many of them will be, actually most of them, there will be a free version available, and then I will have what I'll term pro versions available with some extra features. Okay, so let's get into this. So here, and you notice that everything is neatly labeled, so you know what stuff is going where. It looks pretty complicated because there's a lot of stuff to be able to adjust, but I'll take you through it and show you what everything does. So we've got our first line of text that we can change. So and it's obviously a little oversized. But before we worry about the size, we'll go in here and we can choose a different font. So if we wanted to pick something like that, and we can come in here and set our style. And then right here we can change the size. And well, actually I'll make it a little smaller. And then we'll spread the letters out a little bit, something a little more modern looking. And now sometimes when you pick a different font or a style, it will shift the position of the text. So I made sure that you can move the text both up and down and left and right relative to everything else. So we've got position Y changes, so you can move it down and up, like so. And if you want to just default that, you just double click on the word right there, and it puts it back to default. And we've got the same with your X position. And if you want to use it, I even left in the underline and strike through options. Now we've got also, you notice there's outline and drop shadow on the text. And rather than create that all in separate nodes, I made it so you can do it all just by selecting the element. So right now you'll notice it says text outline. That's selected by default. But if you want to make some other changes to the main text itself, if you want to adjust softness and alpha and things like that, you can actually go in here and select number 1, which will give you text face, and you can make changes there. So we'll just go down and take a quick look. Now we can actually change our Z offset, so you can lift it up off the page towards you. And there's another offset in here for moving it around. And you can also control the color directly in here as well. And we can even do things like this, adjusting the angle in the x-axis and in the y-axis, so you can have your letters flipping around like that. And we can even twist them like that with the z-axis. And I even put in a shear, so you can do some funky stuff like this. You can italicize letters that normally can't be italicized. And you can move it, shear the letters this way as well. So you can do some really nice effects with this. And you can even do some extra size adjustments here. And this either adds or subtracts to the existing font size setting. So and it does it in one axis at a time. So the reason I put this in here is because sometimes you get a nice shaped letter, but it's just not proportional the way you want it. So this way you can adjust that as well. And all of these, of course, you can see can be animated. So let's just reset everything back. So now we'll go up and we'll choose a number 2, which is our outline. And here you can change your stroke width. And I even left in the ability to change how you want to blend it. Now most times you probably won't have much use for this, but I figured I'd put it in there. And here you can change the weight of your stroke. So you can make it really thick, or you could really thinned out. If you want to just turn it off, you just turn off this little check mark up here and it gets rid of it entirely. And then we can, now for some fonts this isn't going to make a difference, but others it will. You can change your joint style. So you can sharpen the corners on things if you want, or soften them down. It defaults to the round. And you can even change your line style. So if you want to make it a dotted line, you can do that too. I try not to restrict my tools. I figure if you're going to be wanting to use a third-party tool like this, you're going to want to have maximum capability with it. And as capable as this is, you know, the Pro version is going to add some extra features, one of which is going to allow you to come in and actually use a photo as a bitmap for the lettering. So if you wanted to make, say, a flaming text, or make your text look like wood, that will be available in the Pro version of this tool. And you can, if you want, to change the color of your outline as well. So if you want to make that a really strange color, say like a bright green, you're free to do that. And you can also adjust the alpha level. So you can fade that outline down if you want, soften it out. And I've also got some softness controls if you want to blur the outline a little bit in just one direction or another. You can do that too. So I have to apologize for the little bit of screen flickering that's going on in the view window. I just cranked up the resolution on my screen here on my MacBook because in the color tab I wasn't able to get the 3 tool windows across the bottom. But by going to the higher resolution, my refresh rate isn't as fast, so I get some occasional visible flickering. And now I did put in the softness, glow, and blending, but there's not really a purpose for it at this point. That's going to be more useful later on in the Pro version. And you can also shift your outlines if you want. And the reason I did this is because I also left the ability for you to expand the size of the outline, leaving space around the letters. But it does some funny things when you do that. It leaves it kind of pinned to one corner. So I put in the ability for you to move it as well. So if I was to go down here and adjust the size, so let's say I wanted to move it up to say 1.5 there and 1.5 there. Now you can see it's kind of pinned on the bottom, but now I'm making it extra large just to exaggerate it so you can see it. But let's increase that stroke width a little bit. So now if we go down to our offset, we can pull these down a bit, and it looks like it's actually centered horizontally. But so that just gives you an idea of what you can do with that. Now we'll just put that back. Oh, there we go. All right. Now you can also do all the other things as well. You can change the angle of these if you so desire. And I did that so you can still match the letters themselves if you're making some changes there. And you've got that capability too. So you can do all the same things. And we'll go back up here, and now we'll select number 3 on the list. And you'll see that changes the description to drop shadow. So actually I'm just going to go back up here and reduce that line weight a bit, the stroke width. And I'm going to default the color back. And pretty much everything in here you can restore the default setting that you started with by double clicking the description next to what you're changing. Okay, so we've got our drop shadow selected here now. And once again, you can adjust the opacity of it. And you can also change the alpha settings, which is a little different animal than your opacity. And if you play with them, play them off against each other for a little bit of experimentation, you'll see what the differences are. So once again, you can offset your position. So if you want to give your shadow a little more depth, You can do that. Or you can completely change your light direction if you want to, like so. And you can also change your Z position, so you can make it look like it's really standing up off the page more. And once again, you can change the angle of your drop shadow. You could even do that if you want, to make it look like the light's coming from behind. And we could just drop that down to the bottom of the letters like so. So it's just about endless, the effects that you can do with this. And we can even go down here and thicken them a little bit if you want to change characteristics of the light, or make it look like the light's coming from a lower angle with longer shadows. You can do all that. Now obviously it would take some more fine-tuning to get it looking just right, and we don't really have time to mess with that here. I'm just showing you how everything works. So now here we've got the text line 2, and all the same things apply. And once again, you can animate all of this stuff. So you can have the shadows moving back and forth, or the letters moving around over time. So it's got all the exact same options for it. Now just one little note, whatever change you make in the selection box in the previous one, it'll change it down here, but all you got to do is once again select the one that you want. Okay, so let's go down to the background color. Now, currently in this version, you only have the ability to have one even color. But the Pro version of this tool is going to allow you to actually do gradients, so you can have it fading from virtually nothing to solid at the other end, or change the direction to go from bottom to top or corner to corner. But you can come in here and you can change the color of the background box. And you can adjust the alpha level on it. I didn't put a control in to adjust the opacity completely, so you can't make it completely opaque in this version, but the next version will have that capability. But and of course, as you know, depending on how bright of an alpha channel you're using, that's going to determine just how much you can fade it out. So I mean, if you're using a black color, then when you drop the alpha down, it'll virtually disappear. But you're always going to have a bit of transparency in it with this version. So now this next set of controls, these are for these outlines, and you notice one is sitting on top or sitting forward of the other. So the red one there is our foreground, and you can go in and you can actually adjust the stroke width or line weight of this. You can make it completely disappear if you want to, or you can make it ridiculously thick like that, although you probably wouldn't want to, but I didn't bother limiting it because I just don't know how you guys are going to find ways to use this. So I wanted to give you maximum flexibility. Oh, and once again, you can double click on that to get it back to default. And we can change the color. And these colors can also be animated, so you can have the colors change over time. So we can. And now this this version you don't have control over the actual animation of the boxes, but in the Pro version you will be able to control that. You'll be able to control whether you want the whole box just to appear rather than draw itself in, and you'll be able to control what angle the boxes start at and how many degrees of rotation they go through and whether it completes drawing the box. That'll all be adjustable in the Pro version of this tool. And here's our background outline. So once again, you can adjust the width on that to whatever works for you, and the color as well. Sorry about this screen flickering stuff. And in the Pro version, you'll also be able to change the relative position of the boxes, if you so desire. And then we can also change the color of that animated reveal line, our kind of our glitch reveal line. It's got a bit of a glitchy intro to it. So if we wanted to completely change the look of this, you certainly can. So that's it, folks. It looks pretty complicated, but it's pretty easy to use. It only looks complicated because of how much stuff you can adjust. So there's one last thing I want to show you before we conclude this tutorial. If we go over here to the Video tab, now you can actually animate it from this level as well. So if you don't want it in the center of the screen, or you don't want it this big, or you want it bigger, that's all adjustable. So we can come in here and we can zoom it. And we can move it over. So if you want to use this as a lower third, you can certainly do that. A little bit bigger there. And here we go. Now you do have to be careful about just how far into the corner you put it, because you'll notice if we back it up a little bit, you'll see where some of it gets cut off. But that may not be an issue for you, but if it is, then just make your adjustments accordingly. So just a few little tweaks, and there's all kinds of different ways that you can use this. Now I can't remember exactly how long I set it for you to be able to stretch it out to. We'll find out together here. So it looks like it maxes out with the text portion of it anyway at 19 seconds. And I figure that was about as long as anybody's ever gonna want a title to display. So, but let me know in the comments below if you find that you want it to be longer. Let me know, and I'll make sure that I make that longer in the Pro version, or I might even make it so that you can go in and adjust it. It's a simple adjustment because I wanted to keep it simple for myself if I needed to change it later. So that's it, folks. It looks pretty complicated, but it's pretty easy to use. It only looks complicated because of how much stuff you can adjust. So that's our quick look at this tool, and keep an eye out next week for the in-depth tutorial on how I built this and how you too can build it, and how I turned it into a macro and how I got it available in the effects library. So if you enjoyed the content, please hit that like button. If there's any things you'd like me to add to this that I didn't talk about, or changes you'd like to make, or suggestions you might have, or any comments, please make sure to drop me a comment below. I welcome them. And I also do requests for tutorials. If there's something you want to see me do a tutorial on specifically, please let me know and I will do my best to accommodate you. So if you found our content useful, please subscribe and make sure to hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my new videos coming out. So thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you next time.